Coming soon to theaters.
Time it took you to buy your ticket. 3.2 minutes. Time it took you to get your popcorn. 2.5 minutes. Time it took them
Well, let's go,
to steal your car.
Hello, ladies.
60 seconds.
Move, go.
Come on, Sway, baby, work your magic. Hold on, I know you ain't gonna do what I think you're gonna do.
Stop!
I'm gonna have to go old school. A day to shop, a day to prep. Surprise attack.
Nice.
Little trick I learned in the car thief retirement home.
By the time the first car's reported stolen,
All this.
your ship set sail. We do this, we do it my way.
Guys was a sucker for a redhead.
You break it, you buy it, my friend.
Okay, let's run.
Gone in 60 seconds.
What do you think is more exciting, having sex or stealing cars?
Now available on video cassette.
After 50 years of filmmaking, you might think you've seen it all. But don't count on it. Because Warren Miller's latest film takes you beyond the extreme. From death-defying jumps to carving up the slopes of an active volcano. It's the most awesome display of freestyle skiing never before seen on video. Catch the ultimate ski film, 50 years in the making. Warren Miller's 50.
And now, our feature program.
Oh, right across the racetrack.
What happened? And Tara Labonte, the leader, is spinning, and Dale Earnhardt takes the lead.
Left is possible. Aaron Labonte on his way. He's
Way down on the apron of the track, coming to the white flag. Dale Jarrett wins.
Well, he should have just. Whoa! It crashed.
It was the final season of the century, and it provided plenty of memories for all of us to take with us into the next century. In 1999, the NASCAR Winston Cup Series was bigger and better than ever. Of course, we expected that, and we saw it all season long. Welcome to the 1999 NASCAR Winston Cup Year in Review. I'm Bill Weber, and for the next hour, we'll travel across the country and circle the tracks where we watch the excitement build and the championship race unfold. And what a race it turned out to be. Over 60 teams tossed their cap into the various racing rings around the United States during the course of the 34-race schedule, but only one team walked away wearing the crown as the final NASCAR Winston Cup champion of the 20th century. From Daytona to Darlington, Martinsville to Las Vegas, the rolling hills of New England to the Napa Valley of California, these talented teams and their racing machines chased a single dream, bringing home the coveted NASCAR Winston Cup. Now relax and enjoy as we go racing one more time in 1999 and celebrate the final season of the millennium. Just like every season, our journey starts at the beach. Not just a beach, but the most famous beach in the world, Daytona Beach, Florida. After 2.5 productive months of building, testing, and not so patiently waiting for the start of NASCAR's 51st season, the stars and cars of the Winston Cup Series finally took the green flag to begin the 1999 season at the Daytona International Speedway, in what is still recognized as the most prestigious and certainly the most important race of the year, the Daytona 500. This is a heart-pumping, fan-cheering, foot-to-the-floor restrictor plate race that puts driver and car on the edge in a tightly packed, high-speed traffic jam. It's a blur of color and charisma, a spectacular way to begin a spectacular season. Daytona is a 2.5-mile track, and on this daring stage on the sport's biggest day, the spotlight was stolen by the sport's biggest names. 1989 Winston Cup champion Rusty Wallace was celebrating the 10th anniversary of his title-winning season, but Wallace had never celebrated a win in the 500, or even a win at Daytona. In fact, Wallace entered the season without a win in a restrictor plate race, but it looked like this could finally be Rusty's day at Daytona. His Miller Lite Ford dominated the day, leading 104 of the race's 200 laps. But when Bobby Hamilton brought out the yellow flag with 25 to go, Rusty gambled. Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon both pitted for fresh tires, while Wallace elected to stay out and protect his lead. With only 10 laps remaining and Wallace still at the point, the lead pack ran up on the lapped and limping car of Ricky Rudd, opening the door for a daring move by Gordon to take the lead, followed closely by Earnhardt.
Worldwide for the lead. This is going to get exciting.
He looks inside. He goes outside. He looks inside again. Here comes Earnhardt. He's all the way to the bottom. Almost in the grass. He slides up the racetrack and Jeff Gordon will win it.
The Intimidator's desperate dash was not enough, though, as Gordon held on for his second Daytona 500 win in 3 years.
Getting a little shot after there.
The competition had been warned at the earliest possible moment. The 1998 Winston Cup champion was picking up right where he left off, in victory lane.
Yeah, well, Dale's pretty strong up off the bottom, and, Jeff did a great job driving the car. Car wasn't the quickest car all day, but he did a great job driving it.
Jeff, those last 10 laps, what a race.
That is a dream come true for me. To race Dale Earnhardt down to the final finish, all the way down to the line for the Daytona 500, it does not get any better than that.
You could hear the groans coming from the garage area. The kid was at it again. Not only did Jeff Gordon win the race, denying Rusty Wallace with that daring move and beating Dale Earnhardt, he added the glamour of starting the season by taking the first million of the Winston No Bull bonus program. Now, only Cale Yarborough had won 3 consecutive NASCAR Winston Cup championships. Gordon was hoping to tie that record, and the way he ran at Daytona, he was off to a pretty good start. But in this fast sport, it's amazing how fast things can change in just 1 week. The second stop of the season was the Duraloop 400 at Rockingham, North Carolina, and Gordon's momentum was stopped dead in its tracks with a blown engine on lap 311. That opened the door for the sport's other perennial title contenders. A lightning-fast pit stop late in the running put Mark Martin's Ford up front for good, winning by almost a second over Dale Jarrett. That second-place finish moved Jarrett from 36th in the Winston Cup point standings to 13th. The win was Martin's first at the Rock since 1989, his very first Winston Cup win.
I love this race team, man. These guys won that race. I'm terrible at Rockingham. I'm one of the worst drivers you can bring here. They did it, man, fast pit stops. They had that Taurus working good. The last pit stop was a fast stop. They had the right setup under it, and, I just feel really blessed.
The Daytona 500 and the race at Rockingham delivered exactly what many fans had expected. 2 wins by 2 of the favorites for the 1999 championship. Right from the start of the season, the points and the pressure appeared to be mounting early. Now, Daytona will always be the stainless steel link that bonds the future of Winston Cup racing with its proud past. It's the home to NASCAR, the home to the Daytona 500. But in recent years, the series has wandered further and further from its southern racing roots, bringing along its family-oriented entertainment and excitement. Few fans ever dreamed that someday NASCAR would stop in Las Vegas, a city that provides almost as much sparkle and sizzle as the sport itself. Well, in March, the Winston Cup Series brought its high-stakes game to Vegas for the second time. There was some big money on the line. $1 million. Las Vegas was the newest stop for the No Bull Million. Could Gordon do it again? Well, when all the cards were on the table, the final laps of the Las Vegas 400 turned into a real-life family feud. An early duel between Jeremy Mayfield and pole sitter Bobby Labonte soon gave way to a battle between the Burton boys, 37-year-old Ward and his 31-year-old brother Jeff. But early in the race, it looked like Ward had taken himself out of the picture. He came charging onto pit road, then lost control of the car, spinning through the grass. But he recovered. His crew delivered a great pit stop, and Ward not only remained in the chase, he stayed up front in the race. Jeff dominated the middle stages of the event, but a late round of pit stops put big brother Ward back in the lead. Ward was looking for his first win since 1995. He raced his heart out, but gave way to Jeff for good with just 9 laps to go. When the dust of the high desert had settled, the Burton boys had led 182 of the 267 laps. Of course, Jeff led the last one, taking home his first victory of 1999 and making himself eligible for the next $1 million bonus at Charlotte in May.
I'm going to tell you what, Jeff Burton's the man. These guys, these Exide batteries guys, I'm real proud of them.
Congratulations, what an effort, and being able to race your brother.
That's stressful. I can't imagine being my mother, my father, and my brother, because that's got to be stressful watching. But, you know, we've always wanted it to come down to that, and it never has worked out. And we just were a little better than they were today. But I said at the beginning of the year that they'd be really tough, and I think that today showed you they hadn't had much luck beginning of the year, but they got an awfully good race team.
Heading into the 1999 season, a lot of fans were hoping for a Dale and Dale show on the track and in the point race. But the next 2 races had fans talking about a Jeff and Jeff show. In Atlanta, the lead story was rain. Finally, after an hour-and-a-half weather delay, it was business as usual for Jeff Gordon. The Rainbow Warrior passed pole sitter Bobby Labonte with 21 laps to go and never looked back for his second win of the season after just 4 races.
Jeff Gordon wins the Cracker Barrel 500 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Another victory for Jeff Gordon and the Rainbow Warriors.
The next stop for the circuit was Darlington, South Carolina. A visit to Darlington is like paying a visit to a museum of NASCAR Winston Cup history, a reminder of the roots of stock car racing, a tribute to the men and the memories. Well, a new name was added to the list of winners on this trip. When the Trans-South 400 was over, we had witnessed one of the wildest finishes that the track Too Tough to Tame had ever hosted. After a 3-hour rain delay and more threatening skies overhead, all 43 drivers ran every lap like it might be the last. When the rain started again on lap 162, Ernie Irvan spun off of turn 4 and started a chain reaction. Leader Jeff Burton hit the wall, but managed to limp over the start-finish line to take the yellow flag ahead of Jeremy Mayfield and Jeff Gordon. Moments later, the red flag was displayed, and the race was stopped because of rain. Burton climbed from his crippled car as the race leader, a position he wanted to hold on to, but couldn't if the race was restarted. So Burton did a rain dance. The skies opened up, and the race was over. Jeff Burton had his second win of the year. Gordon 2, Burton 2.
They are celebrating down here as the rain clouds open up, and Jeff Burton, you have won the 43rd Trans-South 400. Congratulations.
I have to tell you, I'm a little speechless. To win Darlington means a lot to me, and win like that, I don't know how you can do it much better than that.
Stop number 6 of the season took the NASCAR Winston Cup Series back to the Texas Motor Speedway for the 3rd time. Jeff Burton was among the favorites heading in. After all, he won the first race at this track in 1997, and Burton teammate Mark Martin was the defending champion. But since that first race in 1997, the Texas Motor Speedway has earned its reputation as a bruising racetrack in more ways than one. 500 miles on a 1.5-mile track. Each year since the Speedway opened, they have worked to make the actual track more suitable for Winston Cup racing. But as I mentioned, this has been a rough and tumble racetrack since before they dropped the green flag back in 1997. And in 1999, the Prime Star 500 was no different. On lap 70, Jeff Gordon hit the wall off of turn 4.
Oh, what a tough break for the 3-time champion.
Bruised some ribs and finished 43rd, the worst finish of his career. Mark Martin also found the wall, as did Mike Skinner for the second straight year at Texas. This time, he suffered a fractured shoulder blade. In the end, Texas' Terry Labonte eased past Dale Jarrett to grab an emotional victory in his home state.
A home state win. Terry Labonte.
Here's how the points stood after 6 of the 34 races. Jeff Burton's 2 wins were enough to earn a slim 2-point advantage over Bobby Labonte. Meanwhile, Dale Jarrett had recovered from his 37th place finish at Daytona to climb to 3rd in points, and Jeff Gordon had dropped to 4th. Even when they weren't winning, Jeff were still making plenty of noise. As the series moved to the high banks of Bristol, Tennessee, Gordon was still stinging from his hard hit at Texas. Burton came to Bristol as the point leader for the second straight week. At certain tracks, you always think of certain drivers. When you head to the short tracks, you have to think Rusty Wallace. Celebrating the 10th anniversary of his Winston Cup championship in 1989, Wallace started the 1999 season in disappointing fashion. In the first 6 races, 2 top 10s, no top 5s, and 3 of those first 6 races had resulted in finishes of 23rd, 26th, and 37th. Bristol can be a headache for a lot of drivers on the Winston Cup circuit, but for Rusty Wallace, it's just what the doctor ordered. For 3 straight Bristol races, Rusty should have been the winner, but wasn't. In this year's edition of the Food City 500, he left nothing to chance. He didn't just dominate the race, he destroyed the competition. Well, almost all the competition. Only 10 drivers managed to hang on to the lead lap on Bristol's high-banked, high-skilled half-mile. Wallace raced at a blistering pace, leading 425 of the 500 laps. But in the final laps, it looked like victory might slip through his gloves one more time. Mark Martin mounted a thrilling late-race charge and rode Rusty's bumper all the way to the checkered flag, but couldn't find a way to get around the Miller Lite Ford. Wallace had taken the first step in turning his season around by stepping into victory lane with his 49th career win, his 22nd short track victory.
Rusty, from Friday to Sunday afternoon, total domination of the weekend. What an effort.
Well, I got to tell you, Mark Martin, man, that's the guy I was thinking about. He got 4 stickers at the end. It was really mowing me down, but I had a whole lot hot right here and I held off. But this car, brand new car, Penske South, built it for me, and man, did it run. That engine was strong. She's a hot rod. We named it Banker. It's good on these high bank tracks. She brought home her money today.
The following week, the NASCAR Winston Cup short track season continued as the series moved to Virginia. On a rough and tumble Sunday afternoon at the Martinsville Half Mile, rookie Tony Stewart had earned his first NASCAR Winston Cup pole. But when the green flag flew, it was an afternoon where the usual suspects raced to the front. Wallace, Burton, Gordon, Martin, they all took turns up front. But with just 3 laps remaining, John Andretti seemed to come out of nowhere to take the lead from Jeff Burton. A gamble on a 2-tire pit stop at lap 383 had put the famous STP Pontiac in a position to win. Andretti, who could have easily won both Martinsville races in 1998, recovered from an early race incident to take the spin and win at a track that helped car owner Richard Petty become the king.
John Andretti wins the Martinsville Goodies Body Paint 500 today. Look at the king. Good boy, John. It's his second NASCAR Winston Cup win.
I told him it looked like Richard Petty driving that truck.
Yes, he did. What a weekend it has been for the king.
And what an effort. Double chicken money for 2 weeks in a row. John Andretti in victory lane at Martinsville.
Only led 4 laps, the last 4.
A big hug from wife Nancy in victory lane.
After 2 straight races on short tracks, the NASCAR Winston Cup drivers now had to come face to face with the biggest track of them all, the Talladega Superspeedway in Talladega, Alabama, and the Die Hard 500. Each year there are 4 restrictor plate races, 2 at Daytona and 2 at Talladega. The fans love them. Most drivers do not. For safety reasons, NASCAR wants to keep speeds under 200 miles an hour. Remember that for later in this program. Teams must use a restrictor plate that basically suffocates the engine and robs it of horsepower and throttle response. Daytona and Talladega are famous for huge packs of cars racing together and infamous for what happens when something goes wrong in the middle of those packs. Sometimes speed and guts overwhelm good sense. 500 miles at Talladega is a thrilling edge-of-your-seat experience for drivers and fans. It's the biggest track on the circuit, and in 1999, it belonged to one of the all-time biggest names on the circuit. On lap 49, Mike Skinner and Tony Stewart tangled on the backstretch, collecting 7 other cars, including Rusty Wallace and Jeff Gordon, who had become the season's hard luck kid. When the yellow came out again with 55 laps to go, Dale Earnhardt's crew worked to fix a vibration in the car and came out of the pits in 16th place. It was then that the Intimidator started his hard charge to the point. The black Chevrolet gobbled up the clean air of the draft and the sheet metal of his competitors. They say Earnhardt can see the air, and as the man in black bolted his way through traffic, he turned doubters into believers. With 14 laps to go, Earnhardt took the lead and held off Dale Jarrett and Mark Martin to take the checkered flag, picking up his first win since the 1998 Daytona 500.
Dale Earnhardt winning the Die Hard 500.
You know, I say it's been a great day, man. Congratulations and a happy early 48th birthday. What birthday? Well, 48. Okay, thanks.
Jeff Gordon was born in California in 1971. In the racing era, that was during the legendary years of the King and the Silver Fox. In 1997, he returned to California and christened Roger Penske's new 2-mile Palace with a skillful, slick inaugural victory. In 1999, Gordon returned to his home state looking for some momentum, or shall we say a little home cooking. He came into the race with 2 wins in the first 9 races and was 5th in points, 210 behind Jeff Burton. But Gordon's normal golden string of finishes had been tarnished early in the season. He had 6 top 6 finishes, but in the other 3 races of the year, the defending series champion had finished 39th, 43rd, and the wreck at Talladega left him 38th. Gordon was not considered a favorite heading into the California 500, but he started 5th, and when he finished, the only thing you could call him was the winner. Gordon ended his springtime slump by stomping the competition in the California 500. He worked his way to the front and led 86 of the race's final 87 laps. The 24 car's blistering pace left second place Jeff Burton trailing by almost 5 seconds. It was Gordon's 3rd win of a still young season, but he only picked up 10 points on Burton and remained 4th in the standings, 200 out of the lead.
Jeff Gordon records his 45th victory and 34th on a super speedway.
After the first 10 races of the 1999 NASCAR Winston Cup season, the notes show there were 2 big storylines for the fans to follow: the Jeff and Jeff show and the Dale and Dale show. Jeff Gordon had 3 big wins, but he also had struggled in 3 big races. Jeff Burton had 2 victories and was the surprising NASCAR Winston Cup point leader. Dale Earnhardt had that thrilling win at Talladega, and Dale Jarrett was 2nd in points but had yet to visit victory lane. Those stories would continue to unfold as the season rolled along. Dale Jarrett came into the '99 season as a solid contender for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. He had finished in the top 3 in points the previous 3 seasons. He came to race number 11 2nd in points. No wins, but 7 top 5s and 9 straight top 11 finishes after the rolling crash in Daytona to start the season. Jarrett was suddenly the model of consistency, but he was still looking for that first win of the year. In fact, he was looking for his first win since Talladega in October of 1998, a stretch of 14 races. Jarrett had just 1 victory in his last 31 starts. No reason to push the panic button, but while Jarrett was consistent, critics said he wasn't a closer. Well, on a Saturday night in Richmond, he silenced the critics and the competition, taking home the win and taking over the point lead. Blistering tires plagued the Pontiac 400, hampering the efforts of Mike Skinner, Ricky Rudd, and pole sitter Jeff Gordon. Jeff Burton, the defending track champion, rushed out front again and could smell another emotional win in his home state. But Burton lost his lead and his shot when the transmission on the Exide Taurus gave out on lap 240. That opened the door for a surging Dale Jarrett. Jarrett, avenging a controversial Richmond loss 1 year earlier, took his first win of the season. It was a double victory for DJ, winning the race and taking over the point lead for the first time since May of 1997. Dale Jarrett was on top of the Winston Cup standings, 63 points ahead of Jeff Burton. It was a position he liked, one he was determined not to surrender.
Dale Jarrett wins the Pontiac Excitement 400, his first win since Talladega.
And Dale Jarrett climbs out, is high-fiving his crew, giving them all handshakes. Todd Paris said, man, this makes up for the one last spring.
The car was just the best it's been. It was just awesome. I couldn't ask for anything better there those last 50 laps.
Throughout the year, the NASCAR Winston Cup Series races under the lights on a handful of occasions. One of those races, the Winston All-Star event held in May just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a non-points race, so everybody's going for the win. Second place means nothing. It's not about points here. It's about the purse and about the prize money. The annual All-Star race this year was marred by early incidents, leaving just 14 cars on the track at the finish. In the end, it was the Iceman, Terry Labonte, using 4 fresh tires to pass the rookie, Tony Stewart, for the victory. Jeff Burton was the big winner in Las Vegas in race number 3 of the 1999 season. Now he had a chance to cash in and become an even bigger winner. 5 drivers in the field at the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte had 1 million extra reasons to try and charge to the front and stay there. The Winston No Bull 5 bonus was on the line for the 3rd time in 1999. Tony Stewart, who finished 9th in the Indianapolis 500 earlier in the day, delivered a miraculous performance, finishing in 4th place in this grueling 600-mile race, despite a dehydrated body that was begging him to give up. Charlotte also gave race fans a look at the future. Dale Earnhardt Jr. made his Winston Cup debut in the new Budweiser Chevrolet, carrying the number 8. The reigning NASCAR Busch Series champion qualified 8th, 7 spots in front of his famous father. But at the end of the race, their finishing order was reversed. Dad 6th, Junior an impressive 16th, 3 laps down. But while both Earnhardts were in the spotlight, it was the battle for the No Bull $1 million that stole the show under the bright lights on Charlotte's mile-and-a-half stage. In fact, at the front of the field, it was $1 million showdown between Bobby Labonte and Jeff Burton. The Coca-Cola 600 is the longest, most grueling race of the season. 600 miles, where the exhausting heat of the day never really disappears despite the darkness of the night. With 19 laps to go, Labonte took the lead, but Burton took it back just 3 laps later and charged home for the big win and the big check.
They're going to belong to Jeff Burton of South Boston, Virginia. Yeah! And Wade Smith has won $1 million. And he may need a respirator.
Jeff Burton has 1 million reasons to celebrate. Tell us how you won this race.
Pit crew won that race.
Dale Jarrett's 5th place finish at Charlotte kept him at the top of the point standings after 12 races. Jeff Burton's win moved him up to 2nd, while rookie Tony Stewart's effort cracked the top 5. There's nothing kind about a visit to the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. A trip to this 1-mile track usually means 2 things: a long day and a race that will come down to fuel mileage. With just 4 caution flags for 31 laps, the day at Dover was drawn out over 369 green flag laps. One guy that had not been to victory lane in 1999 was Bobby Labonte. He had a pair of wins in 1998, but his most recent victory had come at Talladega in April of '98, almost 14 months ago. Bobby had 9 top 10s in the first 12 races. He just hadn't been back to victory lane. While at Dover, Labonte topped off his fuel cell under caution on lap 294. It was a great decision because the race stayed green the rest of the afternoon. Jeff Gordon led most of the day, but was forced to pit for fuel with 5 laps to go. That handed the lead to Labonte, who finally picked up that elusive first win of the year.
Bobby Labonte wins here at Dover Downs International Speedway. Yes, sir.
The morning of the Kmart 400 at the Michigan Speedway, there was one of those weird feelings in the air. Every now and then, the morning of a race, you'll get a feeling that this is going to be something special or unique or unusual. I remember thinking on Friday that if the field could get through the first few laps without any trouble, this could be a caution-free race because the track is so wide and the cars are usually well spread out. If that was going to be the case, anybody that had plans on going to Victory Lane needed two things: a lot of horsepower and great fuel mileage. Well, to be quite honest, the Kmart 400 turned out to be a pretty boring race, unless your name was Dale Jarrett. The opening laps provided some tight, dicey racing between the sport's biggest names. On lap 53, Dale Jarrett took over the lead from Jeff Gordon and never looked back. Jarrett led all the way to the end of the caution-free race to pick up the victory, protect his points lead, and put the crowd and the competition to sleep.
Dale Jarrett wins the Kmart Michigan 400.
Probably the best race car I've ever driven.
The Pocono 500 was a sharp contrast to the caution-free race at Michigan. In all, the yellow flag flew 11 times. In the end, Bobby Labonte overcame a bad pit stop and hometown favorite Jimmy Spencer to grab his second win of the year and his second in 3 weeks. In 1999, there were 34 races on the NASCAR Winston Cup schedule, but only 2 were road course events: Watkins Glen, New York, and of course the first one on the Sears Point Raceway in Sonoma, California. These are challenging racetracks. Right turns, left turns, but no turning back. You've still got to race them, whether you love road course racing or hate it. Jeff Gordon swept both road course races in 1998 and had posted 3 straight road course wins when he arrived at Sears Point in June. He was suffering from laryngitis, so he let his race car do the talking. Now, early in the race, there was plenty of action up front, and the race will always be remembered for 3 very violent crashes. The first one was by Steve Park in his Pennzoil machine. Later in the race, Ken Schrader tried to duplicate the event. But in the very late stages of the race, a multi-car wreck on the long, sweeping backstretch brought out the red flag. The field was stopped on the track. Drivers were given water during the delay, and then the race was restarted. Jeff Gordon had started from the pole and led 3 different times. The DuPont Chevrolet held off Mark Martin on a late race restart, and Gordon was once again king of the road.
And here comes Jeff Gordon to take the checkered flag and win the St. Mark Whaley 350 at Sears Point. His 4th road course win, the 4th win of 1999. He also won at Daytona, Atlanta, and California.
On July 4th, there are no fireworks more spectacular than the Pepsi 400 at Daytona, which of course is held under the lights. In Friday night's happy hour practice, Mark Martin slammed the wall hard, breaking his left wrist and aggravating an already ailing back. On Saturday, he finished 17th. Dale Jarrett, a 2-time Daytona 500 winner, held off Dale Earnhardt for his 3rd win of the season.
Dale show at Daytona again.
Man, how many times have we seen that?
You are the man. Guys, awesome job. Awesome job.
Checkered flag waving Dale Jarrett scores his 21st career Winston Cup victory, his 3rd win at Daytona.
It was a clean race, and it was action-packed all night long. Things going on. We had a great race car.
At the Jiffy Lube 300, rookie Tony Stewart gambled on fuel at the New Hampshire International Speedway and lost. Out front with 2 laps to go, Stewart's engine sputtered to a stop. He coasted to pit road. Jeff Burton took the win, while Jeff Gordon and Dale Jarrett did some fender rubbing for 3rd and 4th. Dale Jarrett's consistency had led him to a huge 240-point lead over Jeff Burton, and injured Mark Martin had moved into 3rd, while Bobby Labonte had dropped to 4th in the point standings. Well, it was deja vu all over again as Bobby Labonte drove another patient race at Pocono that paid off with a win.
It's for the lead.
For first place. Bobby Labonte has it. Is he on the way to the sweep? He won here in June. Can he do it again?
Labonte became the first driver to sweep both Pocono races since Tim Richmond in 1986.
I tell you, Pocono's a tough place to race, and to get it twice is that's a thrill.
Entering the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis, Dale Jarrett's team had reeled off an amazing 16 straight top 10 finishes. At Indy in 1998, Jarrett had the best car, but ran out of gas. Now he and his team were looking for revenge. In front of 350,000 fans at the world's most famous racetrack, Jarrett's Taurus dominated. He led 83 laps down the stretch and held off his biggest rivals in the point chase for the win. It was Jarrett's second Brickyard victory, joining Jeff Gordon as the only two-time winners of the race. Afterwards, DJ brought his entire team along to kiss the fabled strip of bricks.
What an incredible race car. Thank God for a safe race and for giving me the abilities that he did, but most of all for giving me the wisdom to come be with this race team.
Every season that Dale Jarrett has been behind the wheel of Robert Yates' Ford Quality Care machine, he has been on the doorstep of his first Winston Cup championship. But for 3 straight years, he had to watch a Hendrick driver celebrate the title he so desperately wanted. Jarrett and crew chief Todd Parrott were taking notes while they trailed Jeff Gordon and Terry Labonte. They learned that consistency and keeping your nose clean was the key to long-term success. And in 1999, they followed that blueprint to perfection. In a blistering mid-season stretch, Jarrett reeled off 20 top 10 finishes in 21 races, including 18 top 5s and 4 wins. The result was a pace that no one, not even the Rainbow Warriors, could keep up with. Now here are some notes that we had made after the first 20 races in the NASCAR Winston Cup season for 1999. There were 4 big stories that all the fans were talking about. The first story was the first guy in points. Dale Jarrett appeared to be marching toward his first Winston Cup title. After 20 events, he had 4 wins and an impressive 274-point lead in the standings. Jeff Burton also had 4 wins after 20 races, but he had stumbled at a few of those events and had slipped to 4th in points. Rookie Tony Stewart continued to shine, impressing fans in almost every race. He hadn't been to victory lane yet, but we all felt certain he was heading in that direction. In his first 20 NASCAR Winston Cup events, he had 12 top 10 finishes. As for the defending series champion Jeff Gordon, 4 wins, but he had slipped to 6th place in the point standings. Of course, there were 2 road course races on the 1999 NASCAR Winston Cup schedule. The second one was in upstate New York at Watkins Glen for the Frontier at the Glen. And this was a race where several of the road course specialists came out in force. It was guys like Ron Fellows, Boris Ed, and Jerry Nadeau. 3 guys making a run at the win. But Jeff Gordon was riding the hottest road course streak in Winston Cup history. He won his 5th consecutive road course race and his 3rd straight at the Glen.
Jeff, 3 in a row here, but 5 in a row on road courses. What a record.
Oh, man, that's amazing. I tell you what, this team has just come so well prepared for these road courses. And, you know, we've just worked and worked and worked on getting better. And I guess that test we did up here at Watkins Glen definitely paid off. I hate I didn't get the pole because I thought we were capable of doing that too, but I'd rather settle for this win. It was a great run for us. Man, the car was strong, and I was having a lot of fun, especially battling with Ron Fellows. I mean, there's no better guy to race on a road course than him, and I didn't think I could hold him off. He was catching me in some places, and I just stayed after, tried not to make any mistakes, and start pulling back away from him.
When the series returned to the Irish Hills of Michigan for the Pepsi 400 in August, the memories were still fresh from Dale Jarrett's snoozer win in June. What a difference 10 weeks makes. With 25 laps to go, an amazing 4-car showdown had developed, thanks in part to a new tire that had been brought to the Michigan track by the Goodyear people. The tire had teams chasing the setup as well as chasing the competition. In the closing laps, Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt squared off in a cat-and-mouse game of changing the lead and playing aerodynamic trickery. Teammates Tony Stewart and Bobby Labonte soon joined the fight. Labonte picked his moment with 17 laps to go and dove in the turn 1 for the pass of both Gordon and Earnhardt. Stewart patiently sat back and watched the show. Labonte picked up the win as Gordon grabbed 2nd and Earnhardt faded to 5th. But the fans had been treated to the best show of the season so far.
Saying a prayer.
Yep.
Bobby with one finger in the air and a fist to the crowd as they respond. What an effort from 19th to 1st. And you took a gamble this morning and made a bunch of changes on the car, and they apparently paid off.
After his performance at Michigan, Dale Earnhardt fans wondered if the old Intimidator was back. 1 week later in the Goodies 500 at Bristol, they definitely got their answer. Point leader Dale Jarrett's remarkable string of top 10s ended at 19 consecutive races. He struggled on the short track at Bristol. After a spin early in the race, he couldn't get out of the way of Jerry Nadeau and finished 38th. With 9 laps to go, leader Terry Labonte slowed for a caution flag and was hit from behind by the lapped car of Darrell Waltrip. After a quick pit stop for tires, Labonte retook the lead from Dale Earnhardt as the pair took the white flag. On the backstretch, Earnhardt tried to come back. After some contact, Labonte spun. Earnhardt was the race winner, and the reaction in both the stands and the garage was split. It was either a gutsy win, or the man in black may have gone too far.
Dale gave me a shot down the corner and turned us around.
Terry Dale said in victory lane that he didn't mean to spin you out, he just meant to nudge you.
Terry got into me in the middle of 3 and 4, and I was going to get back to him and just rattle him. I wasn't going to wreck him, but I got to him and he turned him around. So didn't mean to really turn around, meant to rattle his cage, Joe.
Have you ever heard him say he means to spin anybody out?
Apron of the track coming to the white flag. There's Labonte takes the lead.
And meanwhile, Ricky Rudd trying to...
Oh, and Earnhardt spins him out. And Tony Stewart is involved in it. Dale Earnhardt takes the checkered flag.
Labor Day weekend started on a difficult note. Ernie Irvin, who had suffered a concussion from a crash while practicing his Busch car at the Michigan Speedway just a few weeks earlier, announced his retirement from the sport. Irvin's comeback from a near-death accident in 1994 was one of the most inspiring stories in NASCAR's 50-year history. Ernie will always be involved in the sport, but we will all always miss him on the racetrack. The Pepsi Southern 500 was celebrating its 50th birthday, and once again 5 drivers came to the track with the noble $5 million bonus on the line. And Jeff Gordon was going for an unprecedented 5th straight Southern 500 win. Dale Jarrett spun out during qualifying on Friday and had to start 36th in the field. He settled for a disappointing 16th place finish. Again, Jeff Burton stole the day, and again, Mother Nature was his biggest ally. A series of rain delays presented a series of very different scenarios for the 43 drivers and their teams. With each delay, some pitted, while others stayed out on the racetrack. In the end, Burton once again did his rain dance, once again finished ahead of Big Brother Ward, and once again picked up the big check for $1 million.
Congratulations on another noble $5 million.
That's pretty incredible. The best car won this race today. We had some fortune with the rain, but I think the best car won.
Despite 2 bad finishes in 2 weeks, Dale Jarrett's lead over Mark Martin was still a sizable 168 points. Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, and Tony Stewart made up the rest of the top 5, but they were out of contention for the season championship. All season long, the question hadn't been, can Tony Stewart win a race? It was, when will Tony Stewart win a race? In the Exide NASCAR Select 400 at Richmond, we finally got our answer. The Winston Cup Rookie of the Year ran away with the night, leading 333 of the 400 laps, becoming the first Winston Cup rookie to win a race since Davey Allison in 1987. Finishing second behind Stewart was Gibbs Racing teammate Bobby Labonte, the first to congratulate the newest Winston Cup winner.
Congratulations, number 1, your first victory in NASCAR Winston Cup. What a night.
Oh, man. I wish I knew what to say. I mean, you plan all your life for something like this, and, you know, this is for Davey Allison. I mean, this was the mark I had to shoot for all year, and this is a team victory, and this is something Joe Gibbs has been dreaming about. So 1-2 finish. I'm just glad I'm on top tonight.
I'm just so happy tonight. I don't know what to say. Lord bless us with a great night.
Tony Stewart came to Winston Cup racing already an established racing champion. Hailing from the dirt tracks of Indiana, he became a sprint car legend by sweeping up the USAC Triple Crown in 1991. He won the Indy Racing League Championship in 1997 and sat on the pole at Indianapolis in 1996. His stock car experience was minimal, 36 Busch Series starts, but when he arrived on the Winston Cup scene in 1999, he surpassed everyone's expectations, including his own. The Rushville Rocket started on the outside front row for the Daytona 500. By mid-season, he was solidly in the top 5 of the point standings and a weekly contender. By the time he won at Richmond in September, he had firmly established himself as one of the most successful rookies in the history of NASCAR's top division. Fall means the silly season in NASCAR. Drivers start switching rides, some by choice and some not. One such driver was Joe Nemechek. He had been told at Michigan that he was out of the 42 Bell South Chevy for 2000. At Loudon in September, let's just say he updated his resume. Hurricane Floyd had left Loudon in a damp, chilly mood. But don't tell that to Joe Nemechek. He led the last 70 laps for his first Winston Cup win.
Just got to thank God and my brother for watching out for me. Team's behind me, everybody's working hard, and it's just unbelievable.
Overcoming 3 months of both nagging injuries and looking for some help in the points chase, Mark Martin eased his pain by picking up the win at the Monster Mile over Tony Stewart in second place and Dale Jarrett, who finished third. But the biggest news was what was happening elsewhere in the garage, where a dynasty was breaking up. The rumors had swirled for a year, but by September of 1999, the rumors had become official. Ray Evernham, the crew chief for all 47 of Jeff Gordon's Winston Cup wins and all 3 of Gordon's Winston Cup championships, was leaving Hendrick Motorsports. The driver-turned-mechanic from New Jersey had been paired with Gordon since their Busch Grand National days back in the early 90s. Over nearly a decade of winning, the two had become inseparable, both on and off the track. In the process, Evernham had molded a reckless young sprint car driver into an adult stock car legend. After the MBNA Gold 400 at Dover, Evernham announced that he was leaving to head up Chrysler's return to Winston Cup racing for the 2001 season. Team engineer Brian Weitzel, Evernham's right hand for all 3 championships, would be Gordon's new coach. Ray Evernham had always said he received more than his fair share of credit for Jeff Gordon's success. Now that the breakup was official, all eyes were on the Rainbow Warriors to see how they fared in the post-Ray era. On lap 147, Tony Stewart was stealing the headlines again, this time for an altercation with longtime sprint car rival Kenny Irwin. By the closing laps at Martinsville, it was the DuPont Chevy back in a familiar position, running up front. With 25 laps to go, the leaders came in under yellow for fresh tires. But Brian Weitzel, the new leader of the Rainbow Warriors, told his driver to stay out and gain track position. Besides, Gordon's car was no good on new tires. Old tires were the only chance they had of winning. Weitzel's first big gamble paid off. Dale Earnhardt closed the gap lap after lap as the race built to a dramatic finish. But Gordon held on for his 48th career win and his first win ever without Ray Evernham.
Jeff Gordon winning the Napa Auto Care 500 at Martinsville. We are perhaps seeing the beginning of another reign here as Brian Weitzel leads his driver Jeff Gordon to victory in their first togetherness. Bill.
Well, you cannot imagine the emotion here. There's Brian Weitzel. Jeff supported by new crew chief. Jeff had tears in his eyes, a big handshake from John Hendrick. Congratulations, my friend. What a day.
I just want to thank God. There's no way that this was possible without God. And it wasn't possible without Ray Evernham, too. I mean, he's the one that orchestrated these guys. And that's the reason why we have this awesome race team. So proud of these guys. Brian Weitzel led these guys this weekend like he was a veteran. And, man, I've never wanted to win so bad in my life, I tell you.
After a washout on Sunday, the 43 Winston Cup engines finally roared to life on Monday at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. Pole sitter Bobby Labonte set the pace early, and for most of the afternoon, the green Interstate Batteries machine led 136 laps. Hot on his heels sat Jeff Gordon and Mike Skinner. He was hungry for his first Winston Cup win. During the last round of pit stops, Gordon pulled one over on Skinner. blocking the entrance to Mike's pit stall.
And look, Skinner had to put the brakes on because Gordon is pitting further down.
Then the Rainbow Warrior pulled one over on the rest of the field. A three-car duel between Gordon, Skinner, and Labonte ensued. When Bobby got caught up in lap traffic, he lost time, tire rubber, and his shot at the win. Gordon grabbed his first ever fall win at Charlotte and his first win with car owner Rick Hendrick in attendance since Hendrick was diagnosed with leukemia in 1997. Crew chief Brian Weitzel was undefeated, 2-0. Front row Joe Nemechek was on the pole for the final restrictor plate race of the season. And once again, 5 drivers came to the track with a shot at the No Bull $5 million bonus. Dale Earnhardt, who had lost his motor during qualifying, started way back in 27th. When the green flag dropped, Earnhardt began a torrid charge to the front.
Look at him coming. The Intimidator on the move.
Muscling his way up to 5th, just 5 laps into the race. An amazing 32 lead changes were swapped by 16 different drivers as everyone rolled the dice and took their chances in the lottery that we call the draft. Dale Jarrett, Jeff Gordon, and the Labonte brothers all took their turns at the point. On lap 140, Terry Labonte lost his oil cooler as some of the leaders were headed onto pit road. Most of the group bailed, while Earnhardt and Bobby Labonte stayed on and inherited the front 2 spots. With just 4 laps to go, the scramble was on. Dale Jarrett was under attack from a lead pack of over 20 machines. Earnhardt flew to the outside and almost brushed the wall on the long Talladega backstretch. A push from teammate Mike Skinner helped the Intimidator to snatch the lead. The man in black steered left and right to hold off the return charge from Jarrett and picked up his record 9th Talladega victory.
Dale Earnhardt will win the Winston 500, and the celebration begins.
Fantastic run, congratulations. Rockingham provides a quieter weekend for the NASCAR Winston Cup teams, away from the media blitz and hype we see at some of the other tracks. But running the Rock successfully is no small task, especially with the tension of a season-long points battle in the air. Dale Jarrett made his statement early and often. DJ led 147 of the race's first 178 laps en route to a 4th place finish. But in the end, it was the Burton boys, part 3. Ward and Jeff dueled down the stretch. When Dale Earnhardt brought out the caution on lap 322, Jeff beat Ward out of the pits for the lead. In the closing laps, Ward closed on Jeff, but it wasn't enough, as Jeff grabbed win number 6 of the season, and the Burtons finished 1-2 for the 3rd time in 1999.
I realize he's your brother and you love him and all, but are you getting a little bit tired of this?
Yeah, I'm actually mad right now about it. Not mad at him, I'm just mad at the circumstance, but that time's coming. I'm really tickled to death and pumped up about the future for this race team. That's what's exciting for us.
I know how disappointed he is. They did a great job. They had a chance to win, but they want to win, and I hate to be the one to have to beat them. It really is disappointing for him, and it's disappointing for me, too, to have to be the one that does that.
In the high desert of Arizona, Dale Jarrett again looked to assert his dominance, leading 50 laps early in the race. Flat tires sent DJ a lap down, but the points leader muscled his way back to a 6th place finish. Pole sitter John Andretti inherited the lead from Jarrett, but no one was strong enough to hold off the Rookie of the Year. Tony Stewart dominated the rest of the afternoon, leading all but 7 of the race's final 154 laps. Second place Mark Martin was a full 2 seconds behind. Stewart tied Davey Allison's record, winning 2 races as a rookie, and moved into 4th place in points. The Winston Cup Series made its first visit to southern Florida the 2nd weekend of November. The Miami Homestead Speedway is a sparkling palace of speed in one of the country's most beautiful regions. And with a good enough day in the sun, Dale Jarrett could clinch his first ever NASCAR Winston Cup championship. Surprising David Green took the pole, but it was the teams of Joe Gibbs Racing that ruled the day. Bobby Labonte was in charge for the first 2/3 of the race, but on lap 248, teammate Tony Stewart won a drag race into turn 3 with the bump, the run, and his record-breaking third win of his rookie season.
The inaugural Pennzoil 400 at Homestead goes to Tony Stewart.
Well, an incredibly excited Home Depot team. Tony Stewart, his third win of the season, a new rookie record. The champagne is flying, and so is the confetti. And wow, what an emotion-filled victory lane right now. Tony Stewart up on top of his Home Depot Pontiac.
Meanwhile, all Dale Jarrett needed was to finish 8th or better to clinch the title. When the checkered flag flew, Jarrett was 5th, and he was the champion.
Dale Jarrett has won the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship for 1999. A look of relief from the well-respected team owner Robert Yates. The first championship for Jarrett and Yates. They've done it in 1999. Congratulations to the both.
It had been 34 years since Jarrett's father Ned had clinched his last title. The Jarretts became the first father-son championship duo since Lee and Richard Petty.
I love this. Man, what a day. Let's start out by thanking God for all the talents for this race team and giving me the opportunity to work with these people. Robert, Doug Yates, Carolyn, Todd Parrott, this entire group. You know, this all wouldn't have been possible without two guys that were Robert Yates before me. And we'd be remiss if we didn't thank Davey Allison for starting this whole thing and getting it to a championship level for us. And then Ernie Irvin coming in and doing his part. Being a great friend, a great teammate. And thank my family for all that they've done. This is just an awesome feeling. This is fantastic.
I got to ask you, is the reality as good as the dream and the fantasy was?
Much better, much better. This is just incredible to think that we're the best race team for a year. Just unbelievable. It's almost hard to put into words what I feel for these guys, how much I love them, the job that they've done week in and week out. Just unbelievable.
Since 1987, the NASCAR Winston Cup Series has ended its season in Atlanta. With the champion crowned, teams and drivers look to go into the year 2000 with a little momentum from Georgia and perhaps go down as the winner of the Millennium's final race. There was a combination of excitement and surprise surrounding the start to the race in Atlanta. Dale Jarrett in his first start as Winston Cup champion, Kevin LePage with his first career pole, and Bobby Labonte with his first provisional of the 1999 season. A parade of contenders marched to the front of the field, including Mark Martin chasing Labonte in the points, and Steve Park chasing his first Winston Cup win. Jeremy Mayfield enjoyed one of his best races of the year, but Jeff Gordon's 7-win season ended on a disappointing note when his engine expired. After back-to-back championships, he finished 6th in the points.
Bill Weber, what do you know?
He's still talking to the crew, but he blew up.
Wow. The star of the show turned out to be Bobby Labonte. He was able to weave his way forward from the 37th starting spot. His Pontiac was fast on the track, his crew lightning quick in the pits. Labonte outraced Jarrett and Mayfield down the stretch and took the checkered flag for his 5th win of the season, clinching 2nd place in the points. It was the 3rd straight win for Joe Gibbs Racing, giving them 8 victories this season, shared by Labonte and Tony Stewart. Bobby celebrated in Victory Lane, while Dale Jarrett, Todd Parrott, and Robert Yates celebrated the 1999 Winston Cup Championship.
There's the winning team. Here is the championship team of Robert Yates, Todd Parrott, and the others.
The 1999 NASCAR Winston Cup season began with a new leader when it was announced that Mike Helton would follow in the footsteps of Bill France Jr. It ended with a new champion, Dale Jarrett, following in the footsteps of his famous father, Ned. And now we look ahead to the new season, the year 2000, and plenty of stories to build on. Can Dale Jarrett repeat? The reemergence of Jeff Gordon in the final third of the season without Ray Evernham, with new crew chief Robbie Loomis. Tony Stewart had a fabulous rookie year. Can he challenge for the championship in 2000? Many fans believe he will. Mark Martin is still chasing his first NASCAR Winston Cup. Can he get it? Jeff Burton led the points in the beginning of 1999. He'd like to lead them at the end of the year 2000. So now we prepare for a new season, and of course that means new excitement and the same old question: who will be the next NASCAR Winston Cup champion? I'm Bill Weber. Thanks for joining us for this look back at the 1999 NASCAR Winston Cup racing season. I'll see you at the track.
And Dale Jarrett wins the Brickyard 400 for the second time.
As far as Dale Jarrett, he is the 1999 NASCAR Winston Cup champion.
It's been an awesome year. This is what it's all about, this championship. Y'all are awesome.